Democrats. Today is Thursday, May 5th, and it's time for the Chair's Daily Life. Happy Thursday. Okay, so earlier in the week, I told you that I was going to be talking about corruption and scandals for the entire week, and I took a break yesterday because talking about scandals and corruption and just negative things kind of wears my soul. But I come on here every day because I want to make sure that you guys are aware of the things that are happening in our state. So I'm back on track. Hi, Wayne. Hi, Joe. Hi, labor friends. So, couple things. First, I want to talk about the fact that I'm afraid for my state, and not just because Governor Stitt is still our governor. That makes me afraid, but also because there's legislation right now being considered in our state legislature about it feels like secession to me. So here's what they're proposing: that if the federal government makes some election laws that we don't agree with, that we will hold separate elections. So for the federal stuff, Congress and Senate and president. So for those races, we would have separate elections from House representative, and municipal uh, seats. And so we would have several different elections based on, what branch of government it goes to, because apparently there's some fear that on the national level they're going to make some kind of laws that we don't agree with. The financial impact, they didn't do a full financial impact, but without factoring in how much it would cost to have the separate elections, the financial impact listed was $1.5 million. And that's not factoring in the cost that it would take to have the election for president on one day and then the election for state House of Representatives on another day in the same year, in the same cycle. That is what they're proposing. Now, here's the thing. In the writing of the law, it says that the state secretary of the election board would temporarily override the rules so that we'd have a second election. Meaning they knew that there's already a law on the books that dictates when we have elections. So they want to supersede that law. They didn't change that law. They just want to supersede that law temporarily. It's too convoluted, and I don't want to crowd your brain with it, because the reality of it is they're not trying to change anything. They're not. This isn't any real legislation. This is more performative legislation. This is more legislation to say, Oklahoma is going to be in charge of Oklahoma, and we're not going to listen to Biden and his rules. That's all this is about. It's caca. It's ridiculous. But I feel like that it is my responsibility to let you guys know what's happening. They're spending time on this, not spending enough time talking about the turnpike that apparently we didn't have approval for, not spending time on making sure that all of our neighbors have access to broadband, not spending time on expanding access to health care to children. No, we're worried about a law that maybe they may make in DC, and we're going to pass a law so that we can You're exactly right, Marianne. It is this states' right bullpucky. I mean, they need to cut it out and focus on improving the lives of Oklahomans. But instead, and this brings me to the corruption and the scandal. Instead, I want to remind you of some of the people that we have currently in our legislature. Specifically, today we're going to talk about Representative Terry Odonnell, that found out about this because of his arrest. He was the number 2 guy in the House, the State House. He was the number 2 guy until he and his wife were indicted on 8 individual charges. Now, that happened in December. Now, we knew about it back in 2020. And I guess it took them that long to get all of their ducks in a row to be able to indict he and his wife. But in December of 2021, Representative Terry Odonnell, which is in House District 23, was indicted on, he and his wife were indicted on charges. And I want to tell you what the charges are, because I don't want you to think that I'm being petty. I want you to understand that these are serious charges. One count of conspiracy against the state, one count of perjury, one count of attaining property by deception, two counts of using computers to violate state law, and three counts of misdemeanor related to him being in office. So basically, he violated more than just his ethics. He broke the law. And let's talk about how he broke the law, because I want you guys to understand. His wife's family owned and ran a tag agency in Catoosa for over 60 years. His mother-in-law was in failing health. He knew it because they weren't estranged. He knew that she was in failing health. He wanted, and I guess the family wanted, for his wife, in-law's daughter, to inherit the family business. Okay, people want that. That sounds great. That's fine. Except that there was a law on the books. You can't own and run a tag agency if you are related to a legislator. There's a whole bunch of other things that you can't do, but being related to the legislator is the big one. So after his mother-in-law was moved into hospice, and again, he knew his mother-in-law was moved into hospice because they talk. They were not estranged. He wrote, sponsored, and carried a bill allowing for his wife to be able to take over the business, because before he did that, it was against the law. He carried a bill that would allow his wife to inherit the business. And while he was at it, he changed a couple other laws so that tag agencies could charge us more fees for their services, which meant that his family was going to be able to make more money. So there's a very specific law on the books that says we're not supposed to dirty dealing, double dealing. They're not supposed to carry bills, vote on bills that will directly that them or their family will directly benefit from. Inheriting a family business that is successful, long-standing, and profitable, that's a benefit. That is a direct benefit. And then on top of that, increasing the fees that they can charge is double benefit. So here's the business, how this business can make more money. That is what Terry Odonnell did. There is videographic evidence of him carrying the bill. So we know that's what happened. The bill passed, and his wife was in charge of a tag agency. So this isn't speculation. This is absolutely what happened. So if that's not bad enough, here's the brazen part. While under indictment, Representative Odonnell went ahead and filed for office. So he's still running. He still thinks he deserves to represent us in Oklahoma. So House District 23 is in East Tulsa and Catoosa, right? So part of it is in Rogers County. It's East Tulsa and Catoosa. And Susan Carl Young, a longtime social worker, is the Democrat running in that seat. Susan Young is running in that seat. I like out. If you know anybody who lives in that part of the state, make sure you understand that she's the one who's not currently under indictment. Regardless of any of the other things, she cares about mental health awareness and making sure that we care and access for mental health, making sure we expand access to health care for children, making sure that there are job opportunities in part of Tulsa County and over there in Rogers County. That's what she cares about. Go look her up on her Facebook page. Those are things, those are enough reason to vote for Susan Young to represent that part of the state. But at a bare minimum, she's the one who's not currently under indictment. He's so brazen, even though these charges are hanging over his head, And they're not speculative, and we don't that they might be coming. They are real. You can look it up. He's still on the ballot. He's still running. That's who we have, and that's what happens when you have one party rule. They don't think anything can stop them. They don't think that they are. Um, they believe that they are above the law. We can't knowingly let this person get reelected, guys. Um, I'm asking you, if you can, reach out to anybody you know who lives in East Tulsa, in Catoosa, part of Claremore, anybody who lives in House District 23, and let them know about Susan Young. Her campaign needs help because she's running against, I mean, they're a name, right? They ran the tag agency for 60 years so people know who they are and vote for the name that they recognize, even if they don't remember that they recognize that this person was on the front of all the papers and on all the news because he's an alleged criminal, and alleged only so I don't get sued. But everything that he's accused of, there's actual documentation that he's done. This is what happens when you have one party rule, because his colleagues knew what he was doing and they let it happen. Um, Representative Colin Walkie called it out when it happened because he saw exactly what it was. And so the folks in Ohio knew that he was in violation, and they just let it happen. No one asked him to step down. No one, he wasn't censored. They just let it happen until the police came a knocking. And then the only thing they did was they said, okay, we have to move you out of leadership now, because this is a distraction. They still are okay with this man who has been indicted on eight charges. They're still okay with him running for office. For shame. So, Susan Carl Young, I usually don't go this far out on, but this is a big one. We can't let a knowing alleged criminal. We know what charges he's charged with, and there is videographic evidence, there is written documentation, and the law was changed. And his wife was there until the police came a knocking. We can't just let this stand. And this is the kind of corruption, I usually save my corruption conversation for Governor Stitt and Attorney General O'Connor, because there's a whole bunch there, but it's even on the legislature side, and we can't let it. Attorney General, silent. This has been picked up by the district attorney in Oklahoma County. The crimes took place in county. It's a state level person, but it's being taken up in Oklahoma County. Again, I think it's the privilege of being in the legislature. This is the kind of stuff we fight. I come on every day and beg you to pick and support a candidate now. You've got to help them. We can't let Susan not get the support that she needs to be this person who is under current indictment. All righty. Thanks for joining me. I hope that you got it. Go look them up. It's Terry Odonnell, House District 63. Go look it up. Make sure that everybody knows he can't be elected again. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you tomorrow at 4:15. Bye, Joe.